Will the dollar eventually crash? Is it a fiat currency and not backed by anything? How's it able to stay afloat? Are we heading towards a crash? Yeah, thank you for that. So the U.S. dollar, I don't think it's going to crash, and I'll tell you why. So, and you asked about it not being backed by anything. So, the dollar, this is different renditions of the dollar over time. Usually, dollars really bad investments. Like I got these on eBay for next to nothing. Right? If they were in mint condition, they're worth a lot, but whatever. But the dollar used to be based on silver, right? Then it was based on the gold standard in the 1900s. And then it was based on gold as well. These $2 bills were backed by the full credit of the United States government and gold. Okay, this one's from 1933. This one's from 1957. And then what happened was Richard Nixon in the early 70s. Remember Nixon? I'm not a criminal. He took the dollar off the gold standard, so that when you get money, it's not really backed by anything anymore, except for the full faith of the United States government. And the U.S. government, it is what it is, but the U.S. government and the U.S. dollar is a flight to quality. And so when things are really, really bad and people are scared, the U.S. dollar goes up a lot because people sell their own currencies in other countries to buy U.S. dollars. And so the last corporation, so to speak, that would go belly up in the world is the U.S. government and the Chinese government as well, I guess. It's just a flight to quality. It's all relative. And a lot of people say, I don't get it. The U.S. has so much debt. This is crazy. Investing in the U.S. is a bad idea. But, well, you know what? I don't agree with that, because the U.S. is too big to fail. Just like the banks were too big to fail in 2008, 2009. And even the U.S. when the U.S. had credit issues in 08, 09, and eventually the U.S. Debt was downgraded, which is always a buying signal, by the way. When the market crashes, when U.S. Debt gets downgraded, that's when you buy stocks. Okay. But what happened was in 08 and 09, the Chinese government had to keep buying U.S. treasuries, U.S. bonds. They had to. The U.S., China is attached to the hip to the United States because the American consumer represents a very large percentage of China's revenue. And so the United States is about 30% of the revenue in the world, meaning 30% of the world's GDP. And the American consumer is 2/3 of the American economy. So I think the U.S. government is always going to be too big to fail, so to speak. We're all attached at the hip given globalization. So I don't think the dollar is going to crash. I think if anything, if things get scary, the dollar will go up. It always does. Kind of like gold goes up, right? It's a fear index to invest in ticker GLD, which is the ETF for gold. So no, I don't think we're heading towards a crash. I don't. I think things are really good. And whenever you watch the news is so negative. And one of the reasons why the news is getting really, really, really negative is because there's a younger generation of people like my kids and a lot of 20-something-year-olds that grew up watching YouTube. And they don't watch television. Like if you have kids at home, they don't watch your nice big TV, right? They just kind of sit there on the couch with their iPhone or Android handset. And so what happens is media companies are freaking out because they know that they're starting to lose a lot of market share. And if younger people are not going to be watching TV anymore, and a lot of older people like me, like a lot of times I'll be sitting in my living room just kind of using my iPad and big TV's not on. So what the media has to do is they have to add kind of shock value, breaking news all the time. Like when I was a kid, breaking news was scary in the early 90s when there was the war against Iraq. But now it's like there's breaking news all the time, and these little headlines fear you enough to make you read articles or watch television or whatever it is. Just my humble recommendation is tune out the media entirely. You can do it. And you'll find that you're a more positive person too, instead of listening to the negative media. I don't think we're headed for a crash. I think things are really, really good right now. I think things are awesome. So anyway, if you have any thoughts about that or follow-up questions, let me know. And for those of you not familiar with what Mr. Wright wrote here, a fiat currency. A fiat currency basically means a paper-based currency. And they're all just terrible, terrible investments. Even my beloved Canadian dollar here. And I've showed you this before, but what happened was in 2008 in Zimbabwe, this is a really sad story actually. Zimbabwe was in a financial crisis and inflation, meaning prices going up, was 98% per day in the fall of 2008. And so they printed tons more money. And so in my hand, I'm holding here, this here is, I'll use another camera angle, see if that helps better, sorry. What I'm holding here is, this is a $10 billion note. Okay, this is $10 billion in my hand from Zimbabwe. And this here is 10 trillion. 10 trillion, you get them for next to nothing on eBay. Really, really sad though. But investing in money, paper money, is the worst investment you can possibly make. And I got to show you one more thing. This one's fascinating. Okay, so my family and I, we went to Israel a couple summers ago. It was fun. And we went to Jerusalem, Bethlehem, and a lot of great places. And I bought this, okay? And this is going to be hard for you to see, but this is a coin from the year 30 AD, okay? 30 AD. And you'd think this is worth a lot of money. And the Pontius Pilate's on one side. It's actually not worth much money at all. And one of the reasons later on the Roman Empire failed is because they made too much of this stuff. Okay, so these things are everywhere. I mean, there's excavations in Israel all the time. They uncover these things all the time. So money's the worst investment you can make. If you're going to invest in like anything paper-based, don't invest in, except for stuff where the supply is limited. And so for those of you that are baseball fans, I'm such a nerd. I know. I had these when I was a kid. This is a Barry Bonds rookie card and a Roger Clemens rookie card, and I've been buying them up because I think that they're going to make it in the Hall of Fame soon. Anyway, kind of long story. And these will go up a lot. But they only made 6,000 of this one here, and they made a lot more of this one here. And so that's why these things are worth a lot more money than paper, because governments can print as much paper as they want to, which is tragic and really, really unfair. It's not fair that you and I work so extraordinarily hard to make money, and a government not only taxes us, but they can also dilute us by making more money. It's not fair, not fair. And so paper is always, or money is always the worst investment you can possibly make. Please don't sit on too much cash unless you want to have a little bit of dry powder to buy stocks when they pull back. No,